Hey, my brother, how you doing?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm superb, man. I can't complain, man. I'm here. I'm happy, blessed. Yes, it's all I can ask for. Do you know what I mean? In this climate, so
Definitely, man.
yeah, man.
I was just telling everyone how we met actually, which was well, I met you at an Alpha Monk event earlier this.
Yes,
Wait, was that? No, it couldn't have been
It was like February times,
February. No,
February, March. Yeah,
yeah, it was March. But that must have been last year then.
no, this year, but just
Was
before,
it this?
yeah,
Just
before
before
COVID kicked
lockdown.
in, and
Wow. Right. So March this year, it was a Alpha Monk event discussing Black hair and the importance it plays in the lives of our community and the experiences we've had with
mm,
hair. And so that was a great event. That's when I first was enlightened by the insights that you had to share and had to offer. So, and
thank you, bro.
it's true. Like since then, I've still been, it resonated with me. And of course, had to look through your Instagram, had to look through what you've been about for a long time, and maybe kind of just start with that, just kind of sharing with our viewers a little bit about your story and what you're up to at the moment.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Definitely.
I know usually we probably do things on a panel level,
Yeah.
but we've got to kind of work with what we've got. But me, Darrel Blake, I mean, what do I do? What don't I do really? But I'm more of an educator. I'm more of someone who essentially brings people together, but under the unison of what can we do next, under self-love, self-empowerment, and understanding who we are as Black people. And I've been doing that through communities and through academia, working in schools. And I'm in a position now where I'm sort of like not begging for society to give me what I'm due and create my own space and, think with like-minded people to sort of bring about change in the way that we need to in order for young people to thrive and do better than what we did. So I've been doing that. I've been doing mentoring for 15 years now, working in education for
Mhm.
2 years and been real hands-on in community for about 10 years now. So that's pretty much where I'm at now.
Wow. And we've kind of redubbed, I guess, this month Black Future Month, not as a way of denigrating history, but more of a way of elevating it in the sense that I believe that the individuals we're going to interview through this series are people who are actually helping us to move forward by acknowledging our past, but actually putting it into constructive means as we move forward. This is why you had to be number one on the show, really, to be honest with you, because
Oh,
I see
brother,
that because there's
pressure.
one thing. No, it's one thing. It's one thing, obviously, to talk about history, which we're going to do throughout this month. Many people are going to be doing that. It's a whole nother thing to be able to almost transpose that history into helpful, practical methods to kind of elevate us as a community. And so that's why I'm so happy to have you kind of on the program today. And so let's start by talking about, because some of the videos that struck me the most I've seen of you is these tours that you do,
Sure.
or that you're part of, and it's a tour around London. From what I could understand, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but you take people around London and kind of give them some context to what we may usually just ignore on our routes around London. So give us
Yes.
tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so I do a City of London slave trade money trail tour, and it's a tour of, well, I follow one family member. His name's Sir Edward Lloyd, who was born in 1648. And he made his wealth through colonialism and through plantation slavery, transatlantic slave trade. Where he set up base is in the heart of central London, in the 1 mile square radius. It's actually in the bank area where he started. So it's right next to Bank of England, and it's on Lombard Street where he started his wealth. But his connections to, there's a triangle, and his connection to other buildings is overwhelming because we walk past these buildings every day. Matter of fact, some of us even partied in some of these clubs back in the day. So your Revolutions, your Agenda, your APT, the Wall, a lot of these clubs from like 2010 days when, Yeah, back in the day, back in the days, a lot of us walked past these buildings, but not knowing that it's got colonial ties, colonial history. Some of the buildings are still named after the individuals who, you know, erected the building, but he had his hands in the pie. You know, some of the buildings still have, you know, markings and engravings of, you know, sayings and quotes of what slave masters used to say or things they used to sing on the slave ships. We walk past it every day. And also some black people work in these buildings as well. So it's incredible. So I take people on a tour, quick it is quick. 2.5 hours don't sound long, but it's quick. It goes so quick because there's so much information. And I felt like when I was looking into history of Britain, one of my mentors told me that if you want to find out what Europeans have done, the first thing you need to do is follow the money. So that's what I did. I decided to follow the money, and I found out, wow, Britain's wealth is crazy. The fact that, you know, Docklands, you go to Canary Wharf and you're like, yeah, I'm in the plush part of London, but the whole concept of the Docklands is built off the route that they used to take in order for them to go out in travel to Africa. So the Docklands is built off the transatlantic slave trade. You know, you've got West India Quay, you've got you know, East India Quay. They're literally telling you exactly where they got their wealth from. So it's about bringing that knowledge forward. So it's not just about highlighting that and saying, no, that's what happened to us, but it's to let us know that we are still on that soil. And I feel like the reason why America are so, United States, they're so forward, you know, Black Lives Matter is hard. You know, they've got Atlanta, which is like the black cap. That's the Wakanda that everybody wants to dream to have. They have BET. They have so many different things because they're actually on the soil of essentially, you know, where their ancestors were enslaved. So there's a massive connection to why they want to fight every single day. As opposed to the UK, some of us come from the Caribbean, some of us come from Africa. So our ancestors were over there.
So it's this.
Whereas, right, so we can't really feel the connection where we should feel the connection because those individuals that was enslaving our ancestors, the wealth is here, you know, and they were here as well. So it's about bringing that to the forefront and making young people understand and know that you are standing on the shoulders of leaders, but in the same breath, you have to go forward. But when you're going forward, look back. So I believe in the Sankofa and Dinka symbol and belief of understanding what's in front of you in order to go back, you got to look back, but then to go forward. So it's about bringing that to the forefront and teaching it in a way where you can make it relatable. Because anybody can teach Black history, literally anyone. But it's about how you do it and the method that it becomes, you know, intergenerational learning for young people. So that's what I try and do, to bring parents and community leaders there so they can pass it on. So yeah, that's my talk.
I love it. And I guess when I kind of hear you talk, when I see what you're about, I find it so aspirational from the sense of, you know, there are things that I know, but this is such a key area that I want to know more about. And so I love, you know, listening to people who know what they're talking about, to be honest with you. And here's the thing for me, different moments happen in my life where kind of wanting to have a greater awareness of my story, my history, kind of comes to the fore more. And for me, it really took that turn as I've got children now. My oldest is 6, my youngest is 2. So I guess it's been slowly, I've got 3, and it's been slowly with each of these children that I've wanted more of an awareness because I've wanted to be able to impart some of that knowledge onto them. For you, what are the kind of the key markers you can look at in your story which propelled you into wanting to know more about our journey? Or has it just always been there for you since birth? Or was there, can you think of some moments that were the catalyst to think, rah, you know, I really need to know a little bit more about this?
Well, all right, there's 2 pivotal moments. The earliest moment was when I was 14 years old and I did my first fast. So I was about, just coming up to my 15th birthday. I did my first fast and it was atonement. And I mean, being 14 years old at that time, I was very ignorant. I just thought, this is the world we live in. You go to school, you come home, and that's it. Until I did my fast, that's what opened up my eyes to understand there's a bigger vision out there. And I weren't religious at the time, But it took for my auntie to show me that, look, there's more to black people than you think. You know, we are key figures in a lot of history. I was like, what do you mean? And she pulled out one book and I read that and I was like, wow. So then I started to question and that opened up my mind. But then at 14 years old, when you're in year 9, going into year 10, there's certain conversations you can't have with, you know what I mean? Because I'm talking back in the days when everybody wanted to be a grime MC. I'm talking about when it was about, you know, I was hanging around with people that used to never wore school shoes. They wore Adidas Superstars, all black, Scott jackets, academics. I was wearing Avrex back then. Right, this is what I'm saying. So I was wearing Wallabies. I used to wear, we used to go to, I used to go to Ravel's in Oxford Circus to go and buy my shoes. Yeah, so I'm talking about that period there. That's where I'm coming from. I can't go to my friends and say, hey, listen, did you know, there's something or an organization called the Freemasons? They would have been like, what? Nah, you're chatting rubbish. I would have lost friends. So there wasn't a safe space in order for me to speak out. So I had to go to little pockets and go to certain meetings. And then it was elders, it was older. It's always been older people that spoke to me and said, listen, I'm going to show you a thing. And they pulled out books and made me. So I was at 14 when my eyes was open. And I think it was when I was 21 and I was doing some community work. And these were a group of 13-year-olds. And they were like getting in trouble with police. And I was doing like a session on Black history. And then it was about American history, essentially. And one of the young people was like, oh, do you know what, Like, I keep hearing about America, but I don't live there, I live here. Why there's no Black history for Britain? And I was like, wow, I done a bad job. I done such a bad job where it wasn't relatable to them. And that's what made me say, you know what, let me go out there and find some more information. And then from that day forward, I've just been knocking on the door and producing my own content, reading more and whatnot. So it's always, so two things, younger people and older people. So that's what it takes. It takes for you to sit down and realize and pay attention. And a lot of us do a lot of talking. And that's what I was on. I was just chatting away, talking. Yeah, you know when you think you know it all. That was my mentality. But do you know how much power is in silence?
Wow.
It took. Think about it. Look at the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, right? But before there was the Word, there was silence.
Nothing.
Right, and it was silence, and the silence is still beautiful. Because it's nature, it's meant to be. If God didn't want it to be, then it wouldn't exist. So there is beauty in silence. So why are we not paying it? Why are we not just keeping still and say, hold on, let me just be quiet? You know how deep silence?
They're loving that in the comments. They're loving that bar in the comments, boy.
Bro, do you know how deep? Listen, do you know how silence is so beautiful? Because I'm a DJ as well, and there's one thing that ravers do, and they look forward to is when the tune's about to drop. There's a little silent part. So if it's like deep house something, the beat goes do 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 do. It gets faster and it's silence, and everybody's like, oh, wait for it, and then the beat drops. But the silence is so important because that's where your body's like, hold on a minute, and that's when you can start to think. Do you know what I mean? So when in silence, it's like spiritually you're disconnecting your ears and you're enhancing your other senses. So your consciousness grows. So young people are forever just fighting. Young people are forever doing the matter, but they don't keep still. They don't keep still. And we've got to know how to keep still and just say, you know, wait a minute, because keeping still also teaches you patience. And a lot of us, because we live in a world where we want instant gratification and we want things quickly, we don't know how to be patient. Say, you know what, in a minute, your time's now. And time is not even a real concept anyway, because time essentially is just a reference point, but it doesn't give you who you are. Because if you didn't have any clocks, you wouldn't know what time it is, but you can still live your life.
Yeah, true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's about the power of silence. And I realized that through music and classical, going to operas, and there's the same tension is built up in opera. Sometimes I can't understand a word they're saying, but you know, it's like, oh,
yeah, you feel it.
Unique. Like silence is important. In a relationship, all right, cool. Say you're a young boy, right? You're misbehaving on the street, you're out with your mum, you're going market, and you're misbehaving. What scares you the most? Your mum's saying, do you know what? Stop doing that, right? That's annoying. Stop doing that. Or your mum looking at you, right? And then she just goes and doesn't say a word to you. She just looks at you and then turns away. What's more scary?
Yeah.
Okay. You're the silent treatment, right?
Yeah.
Right. Every guy knows. You go and meet your missus or whatever, and you right, babe, how you doing? And you're thinking, oh, what did I do? So you start to play back. Wait, did I?
Listen.
Oh, I forgot to take out the meat. No, I did. I took out the meat. That's all right. Wait, no, let me check my phone. Our anniversary ain't yet.
Yeah.
It's the silent treatment. There's so much power in silence.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't have to be the loudest person in the room.
No,
We
it's
don't.
true. It's
We don't
true.
need to be the loudest person in the room. Sometimes we just got to say, do you know what? And be cool. And I realized through silence, I was able to listen. And when you can be quiet, you can train yourself to pay attention to other things and things around you. And I've been able to do that successfully, is just be quiet. Sometimes
That's,
I don't want to talk.
that's
Sometimes I just want to disconnect, you know? So,
That
yeah,
is
that's
so
it.
That is so massive, and it's such a mark of maturity because even speaking from kind of a personal perspective, I am always willing to speak up for things that I believe in. Right, I'm always willing to do that, and I love doing that. But over the last kind of few months, maybe with a lot of things, I scaled back even a lot of the things that, even if you look through my social media, there was a few months ago, there was days where I'll be posting loads. And then over the last couple of months, I kind of pulled back a bit. And a few people have messaged me like, oh, Luke, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm just clocking the game because there's like, when you're exactly what you're saying, when you're talking all the time and a lot, there are things that you are missing. And when you're in those quiet times, I'm actually listening as well. I'm actually looking at the play. I'm actually able to just really process a lot of what's happening, because when something happens and you react, something happens and you react, when are you actually really processing it? And this is why I think this is what I love about, I think, Black History Month as it traditionally is. It's a moment for me to pull back and listen to all the voices that have been about this for a long time. And again, with you, like with everything that's going on now and the momentum that Black Lives Matter and kind of our community has behind us, as someone who was in this before it was trending, like how do you there must be a sense of, is there a sense of, not pride would be the wrong word, but just a sense of, wow, I never thought, did it surprise you? Let me put it that way. Because you've been about this for a long time, but now the force behind it seems quite huge. Did you ever foresee a time like this you would be living in? Yeah, just with, because you're probably so used to being a fringe voice, right? Or not a fringe voice, but a lone voice in the wilderness sometimes, like saying, hey guys, like look at this, consider this. I mean, look guys, look over here. And then
Yeah.
suddenly the world turns and is like almost at your doorstep, because it's come to the forefront of everyone's mind since George Floyd, right? With a new emphasis this year. How did that catch you? Did it resonate with you like that?
That's a very good question. See, for me, through studying history, I realized I don't like to be reactional. I don't like to just see something and then just go with it and then become performative. Like, all right, because whenever I talk, I like to bring, all right. So for example, there's this book here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's called Decolonizing the Mind by Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Mm-hmm.
This book, so deep. The reason why it's deep is because it teaches you that for you to decolonize the mind, you first and foremost, you have to understand who's actually colonized you, right? Mm-hmm. So Europeans, for example, European colonized Africa, but there's still a mental state within Europeans. So the French are not the same as the Germans. The Spanish are not the same as the English. We just going to, we've been colonized by the Europeans. People did things differently. What the French did to, West Africa is deep. What the Portuguese did to Brazil was deep. What Britain done to Barbados and Jamaica is deep. But when you figure out who's colonized you, you realize that you can't take your foot off the gas. And a lot of us like to take our foot off the gas because we're sitting in situations where, we work for individuals or, our closest mates, so we become offended. These sort of books teach you that you can't take your foot off the gas. And it's nice to be living in a time like this, where young people are starting to understand, what's going on, and Black Lives Matter is massive. But all right, not to like throw a span in the works, but for
Mm-hmm.
me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe it's gonna take a lot more than a few hashtags.
Mm.
Like, and because I was there in 2016 when we had the first Black Lives Matter march there. And I
Mm.
saw a lot of energy there, and it was powerful.
Mm.
And I've seen it again now, and it's slowly becoming performative. And then you're getting a sense of there are elites that put themselves in positions of power, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a talk here. I'm gonna go with the Telegraph and do this," and it becomes performative because there
Yeah.
still isn't. There's so many people doing things on their own, and there's not like a one unit and saying, "Do you know what? All right, boom. You do that, you do that, you do that." But we're gonna regroup every 3 months and say, "All right, cool. So how did the season go? Okay, this is
Yeah.
what we're gonna do." And we don't pull it out there. We still in a secret meeting, just like how Jazz started, and then we build.
Yeah.
Polish people don't really like Latvian people more time, but they will
Mm.
stick together when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are totally against each other.
Yeah.
Romanians and Bulgarians don't like each other, but they
Yeah.
will stick together when it comes down to it. So we are still trying to be proud and take these awards and be accepted in European mindset. Therefore, I don't feel like the change is going to happen by just having hashtags and saying, "I'm going to speak." Like, there are people writing books now saying, how to, make your office or your workspace or whatever, multicultural, or
Yeah.
to me, it's still performative. Like, all right, there's this book, right, called Ethiopian Struggle for Literacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was because in 1979, only...
Carry on. I'm just fixing the mic.
Okay, cool. So there's this book here, and this book's out of print at the moment, yeah? But you might be able to find some lurking around, but they're probably like nearly £100. But this thin book here, right?
Yeah.
It's called A Blindfold Removed, Ethiopian Struggle for Literacy. And what it is that in 1979, only 70% of the country, 7% of the country was literate. Only 7%. It took for one person, a woman, to say, "Do you know what? We need to change this." And it took for a woman to grind it out, to encourage people to say, "Look, there's so much pros and cons that can happen from trying to read," because a lot of people were punished for trying to read because it brought along intelligence. It sounds like slavery all over again. So this woman, I forgot her name, but it's in this book. This woman decided to bring about change by stepping to the government, nearly being assassinated, but going into communities and sitting down and teaching these young children and teaching adults how to read. It takes one person. How many leaders did it take to part the Red Sea? One. How many people did it take, or leaders did it take, to build the Ark? One. Do you know how deep it is to just have one? So there's two things to take: the power of silence and the power of one. You see, when children, right, are in primary school and they've got the nativity play, and let's say that one child, they're part of the play, and they're walking through the crowd as they come out of the side room, and they're proud, right? Because it's their moment to shine, yeah? Right? What do children do? The first thing they do is they're walking, bumping into their friends, but they're looking for their parents, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it only takes one parent to be there, One parent. They all need to see is one, and that's them for the day. Their role is to be a star. But they're going to be the best star ever because they saw daddy or they saw mummy. That's it. It only takes one.
Yeah.
And that's the importance. It only takes one. It only takes one pyramid for us to go that, wow, that's deep. It only takes one Jerusalem. It only takes one Mecca for people to be devoted to Islam. So it's about having the power of one. And I feel like there's not that one movement or that one individual per se that's saying, "All right, cool, I'm willing to put my life on the line." Because a lot of us are coming from a position of comfortability. Yeah. And if you check whether it's biblical or whether it's from the Quran or whether it's through just spirituality and Black history, you have to, you got to be willing to put your life on the line to bring about change. And I feel like we're doing things for comfortability where it's like, okay, we're going to try and do this, and okay, we're going to try and do that. But there needs to be real game changers. Young people are ready to fight. A lot of us are saying, yeah, I'm going to march. I can't march on this day because I've got my cousin's birthday, or I can't go to this meeting because I've got a lot of our generation's finished. Trust me, Luke, our generation's, the younger people, they need a reason.
Yeah.
They just need one reason to say, all right, you lot are amazing, you are kings and queens. It just takes one person to stop a fight. You don't need a gang of people. No, it just takes one security guard to stop a bar fight. It's helpful if there's backup, but it just takes one. The power of one.
Yeah.
Singular. Rastafarianism talks about I and I, the sense of I and myself and I. When you go to Jamaica, the slogan for Jamaica is what? Out of
one land, one people.
Out of one, many people. But again, it's out of one.
Mm-hmm.
So where is that one? It takes one sperm, just one, to go into the egg. The power of one. Facts. It's like I could go on and on about the power of one. That's the importance, and that's my role. My role is to use my voice to just be that one. Just be that one. If I can just change that one mind, same thing that Tupac said. If I can just change one person's mind, I'm good. We ain't got to try and change the whole world. We can't do that. It's impossible. We just need one person over there, one person over there. We just need one great lawyer, one great solicitor, one great doctor, one great teacher. And that's it. And just get behind them, and we just stand there and we block them. And you say, you know, no one can't infiltrate. We've got our one. Every other generation of people, any other race of people have that one person that you can't touch. Who's that one person? The Nation of Islam have got Louis Farrakhan, but he's on his way out soon. Our spirituality people that want to, you know, do crystals and, you know, cool, great. But who's that one leader that's going to say, all right, cool? Because there's racism in spirituality. You could be a black person about, you know, your crystals. You're saying, you know, I want to buy some tiger's eye or some shungai or whatever. But then you go into a shop in Kent, a white shop in Kent that sells all that stuff, you're still going to be looked at a certain way. So, like, there's racism. Do you see what I'm saying? So, where is that one leader? Where's that one power? Children only want to see one. It just takes one person to go into a prison and say to the young people, say, listen, when you get out, I'm going to treat you right. I'm going to love you like your uncle didn't or your pops didn't. Just keep your head down. It just takes for one person to write a letter to someone strange, a stranger in a prison, for them to get confidence to get through.
Yeah.
Where's the organization saying, you know what, where are these people doing 18 years to life, or where are these people doing 2 years, or where are these young offenders? Why are we not becoming pen pals with people? It just takes one person to do it. So it's great. It's a great movement because it's a great about awareness, but it's a massive. Social media will teach you the difference between reach and impact. You can reach a lot of people, but do you have the impact?
Do you have the impact? It's funny, in the comments, Daniel mentioned about social media, just this idea of the social media are kind of profiting off our rage. And so the rage almost gets engineered. And I think kind of leading on from that, it's, you know, social media, it's really a love-hate relationship that I have with it. Basically love. I love it. Okay, I can't deny it. But I can't help but also see the negative side that people are showing. I tried my best not to watch Social Dilemma on Netflix, but despite my best efforts, it still made it into my consciousness. So I kind of saw bits of that, and so I you know, social media is playing this interesting role. And you know, talking about what you're saying about one as well, just the idea of, I think social media sometimes makes us feel as though we are being that one because we, you know, wrote that tweet, or because we wrote that post, or because, you know, we did that video. It kind of, sometimes I think it gives it makes us feel as though, as you say, like we are reaching people. But yeah, when you deepen and actually look at engagement, like what was the engagement? Did they drop off after 3 seconds, or, you know?
Okay.
So it's
exactly.
I hear exactly kind of what you're saying. It's interesting. Do you feel as though, I guess, thinking about the idea of one, like one thing even that could be done, or that one kind of one movement that could be made, do you feel like, as we talk about Black history, part of the fight or the conversation that goes into a lot of quarters is actually telling more of, I guess, Black history in history, but actually I see it more of just telling true history. Because one of the most powerful things that I see, and we do it all the time in our day-to-day life, is the retelling of history, even in our own stories, in our own lives, to kind of justify either where we are right now or not. So, you know, I should have been, you know, I should have been a footballer, right? But what happened was, I got injured, you know, while I was working out so hard. But that's a retell. The truth is, you weren't really committed. You weren't really on it. You weren't really pushing it. But now you're looking back on it. it's this retelling of history. And it just shocks me that on such a huge level in our education system, it's like it's a huge intentional, it can't be done accidentally, that the whole education system is retelling history in a way which suits the current situation, right? And so when I think of this one thing that could be done, I just feel like that would be so powerful if we just got an accurate history. Or okay, it might not be completely accurate. I understand that there are always sides to the story, but I'd like to hear other sides of the story then, because right now it's just like, you would just think that we ain't really done nothing. We ain't really like, we didn't really play a part in this.
That's so true. I was trying to find a book. His Dr. Henrik Clark, he said a quote. There's a quote of his which says, "If you start Black history off from slavery, everything looks like progress." That's true. And I was like,
people at the back. Repeat that again for people at the back.
If you start Black history off with slavery, everything else looks like progress.
Wow.
And that same mentality applies to white people as well. So if they start Black history off with slavery, they will say, "Oh, but it's not like that now. You've come forward. You've got a Black president. Blah. You've got a Black royal member of the family now. Blah 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 blah." If you start off there, it will look like progress. Yeah. And then until you go past that, you're like, "Oh, hold on a minute. Do you know? All right. So in the Guinea Coast, so in where Benin is, next part of Nigeria, next to Nigeria, without the borders, right? Do you know Benin has their own wall? You know, like the Great Wall of China. Benin has their own wall, which is twice the length of the Great Wall of China. It got burnt down by the English when they went there 200 years ago, well, under 200 years ago, because they was like, "Wow, this is crazy, this is great, it's amazing." And it's twice the size and height. And they're like, "Wow, man, all right, let's burn it down." The only thing that's left is like a king's temple. And that's in Nigeria. Like when you go, if you start off with slavery, everything looks like, I don't even have the book. Man, I ain't got it here, but everything starts off with, okay, we was in shackles and chains. So that's the lowest. And it becomes, you know, a normal narrative that we was uncivilized, and that's about it. And that's because we don't pass it down to the younger generation, the other side of the story, they start to believe it. So they live up to the stereotypes and they become the very thing that we're trying to fight. So it becomes a conveyor belt. And then if they become disconnected with history because they don't see Black history is going to take them off the roads, or Black history is going to get them a job, or Black history is going to, you know, fix their domestic issues or social issues, or, you know, fix their marriage. You don't think that. So they think, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to disconnect from that. I'm going to focus on this. That's going to get me by. By the time the 15-year-olds get to 55, so 40 years from now, them understanding Black history is going to be so dangerous and so sad. It scares me. Yeah. The fact that growing up, to hear Jamaican patois on a day-to-day basis was just the norm. Or from the neighbor, from Marcia, who's screaming down the road, chatting to her family, who's on the phone, you know what I mean? And it's an expensive call. Just to hear patois on a day-to-day basis was norm. Going to a certain market. Going into the market now, going on road now, do you know how hard it is to just hear someone speaking Yoruba or speaking Twi or speaking with a patois from the Caribbean? It's rare. So if young people are being desensitized by it and not seeing the importance of it, that means speaking patois or speaking your native tongue from time to time, just to have that conversation on a day-to-day basis in school or outside of school, is going to be diminished. That means they're going to be so disconnected from their roots that they are going to be lost. So you think they're lost now? Give it 15 years where you don't hear anybody speak about, and it comes through music as well. If you really think about it, like growing up, you had jungle, you had garage, you had lovers rock, you had grime, but you still get certain languages still peek through. So certain MC will speak with a certain twang or patois or whatnot. That UK drill doesn't have a cluster or a section that's just straight patois or speaking with, or pidgin English, or you don't really get that. So it's like, you're becoming desensitized. And then when they want to get to a certain age, when they want to speak out against racism, where are the sources? If they say, you know what, I'm going to go back to Jamaica, for example, or go to the Caribbean or go to certain places in Africa, it's like, all right, cool, but how? Because you're going to need a visa. And because you didn't sort out your papers 30 years ago, you're screwed. Plus, you don't own land because you weren't interested in the land that your grandma had. So therefore, you don't even have any land there. So they're going to be like, you know what, cool. So then you build up this comfortability of dealing with being in Britain, and Black history will tell you that it's either a fight or flight. And a lot of us will sit in a position of comfortability because we're scared to do anything else. Yeah. So you have those who are on the front line saying, yeah. And you got other people saying, oh, I don't think we should. I don't think we should have our own schools. I don't think we should have our own hospitals. What it's about us coming together. If we do our own thing, that's what they want. And it's like, who's they? They are the same ones that put you in this position. And you're telling me that's what they want. What? So do you know them personally to tell you that that's what they want? Have you got like an email with the memo? This is what we need. How did you know that's what they want? Yeah. And then you've got other people, other races saying, no, we shouldn't segregate, we should integrate because that's what they want. I'm like, who's that? They're your peoples. What are you talking about? You go and talk to them. Why are you coming over here? You're not invited to the cookout all the time. Like, and we've got to stop bringing people in and stop celebrating. We've got to stop it. These young people, I'm telling you, it saddens me. These young people need identity, a sense of identity. And the only way we can do that is give them a purpose and give them a position of power where they can say, do you know what? I see myself.
This is really interesting. No, yeah, no, that's really deep because I mean, even a Caribbean, my parents and grandparents, Jamaican heritage. When I look at my kind of, I guess, my African brothers and sisters, you know, I feel like they have a greater sense of identity, a greater sense of culture. I look at them sometimes, and I just feel like, I feel envious, to be honest with you, sometimes, of just like the strong sense of just the way of things that maybe growing up you would have laughed at and poked fun at. Now, as an older, more mature person, I'm like, rah, that's a gift to be able to keep your identity through all this and really be able to. And I think I think Africans in particular, again, I know I'm generalizing, I apologize, but people of kind of a direct African descent kind of are really able to walk two paths. Like, they can do the British thing very well and excel within the British system. But I feel like Caribbeans, I can speak personally, I guess, and of people I know, somehow, I don't know how, and I would want you to kind of enlighten us. Why is it, if I'm correct in my assumption, why have we had a more difficult time? Why do we seem to have a greater sense of loss of identity than those from the continent of Africa?
Very good question. Powerful question at that. All right. The main reason is language.
Okay.
Language is a barrier that breaks everything. All right, ladies in the comments, right? For those that go to a salon and get their nails done, right? You see when you're getting your nails done, and then you complain about it. You're like, oh, no, you did it wrong. Can you fix that? And the woman who's doing your nails says, okay, I'll fix it. But then she says something else to her colleague in another language. Do you feel comfortable while she's doing it? Do you feel like she's saying something positive about you? You do not have a clue. You're like, wait there. No, she chatted about me. And then she goes, no. And then she's like, yeah, then she said you look pretty. Like, really? You get scared. Language is a barrier. Language is a barrier, and that's what it is. Because when we go back to the Caribbean, a lot of our places are still called St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas. We're still speaking the Queen's English. The Queen still owns. Remember, our ancestors, or I say the people that came before us, saw Britain as the streets paved with gold. Yeah. So we are still part of that because we've got our names. It's still British. Whereas those from the continent, they have their language and have their cultures. A lot of us are still connected to European culture. So, and that's based on, all right, there's plantation slavery happened on the continent of Africa, definitely. But there's a certain breeding treatment that happened in the Caribbean that didn't really happen on the soil in Africa. So sugarcane plantation treatment was a lot worse. So the conditioning, the breeding farms, that was all inbred because epigenetics will tell you, right? that you can trace your traits, characteristics, attributes through your DNA.
Wow.
So it can go back 14 generations. So 25 years is one generation. So that's 350 years. You could behave in a certain way, thinking, why am I so aggressive? It's because you're a Scorpio. No, it's not. It's because 350 years ago, you're still carrying on a certain way that your slave master did with your great abused and physically beaten up and done all those madnesses. That's because it's in your DNA. Epigenetics will tell you that. So we as Caribbean people, remember, we got brought from one location to another, whereas they stayed. Right. So the treatment's a little bit different. The mentality's a bit different. And because we was breastfed by Britain, Africa weren't really breastfed, but they were kind of left to their own devices. Right. But we was breastfed by Britain. So right. If Britain becomes our mother, Rule Britannia is our mother. What's the role of a mother in the household? She's the nurturer, she's the carer, she's the feeder. The father's the hunter-gatherer. So she makes everything. I got some fruits and some veg. She goes, yeah, I'm gonna boil up a little something. Boom. So Britain is your mother. We are gonna follow our mothers. Your DNA comes through your mother anyway. So when you do your ancestry, it's your mother's line that carries your DNA and RNA. So if Britain's our mother, we are collecting everything from Britain. So our language, our ideas, everything, our concepts, we're still speaking their language. That's why when we say, well, go on, fam, you cool, like, all right, boom, all that, they get scared, like, because they don't understand it. Because they can't control it. Anything they can't control or they don't understand, it's either they get scared of it or they're so interested in it. That's why they go to the safaris and when they kill off the lions, because they're, oh, such a beautiful, and there's no lions in Britain, but at the same time, they call themselves the free lions. You see the mental state of these people that we're actually sitting under. Like, it's like we don't. And when it comes to music, even the idea of R&B, the #1 genre of music, wild hip hop, R&B is king. Rhythm and blues, or the text of rhythm and blues, was named by a white guy. Because what he did, when there was awards going on, when the Billboard Awards were going on, they didn't want to have hip hop, R&B, funk, jazz, blues. So what he decided to do is categorize all of it together and go, boom, it's got a rhythm and blues. But there's funk, there's jazz, there's folk, there's so many different things that are under rhythm and blues. A white guy did it. People that are looking, write down R&B creator or name creator, and then watch. His name's Jerry something, and I think that was like, must have been about 60, 70 years ago now. So even rhythm and blues is named named by a white guy because they want to categorize it. Can you imagine the Billboard Awards, folk section, blues section, jazz section? They're gonna get tired. It's long. It's gonna be like a black church service. It's gonna be long. So it's rather just keep it short and sweet. Just bung them all together and whatnot. So we're still being breastfed by Britain. We're still being breastfed by the concepts and ideas. We would rather write a segment for the Guardian or Telegraph, but not do something for the Voice or the Jamaica Gleaner. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because there's still pride. Some of us will say, do you know what? Bun Babylon. And then they'll get an award for MBE or OBE. And they're like, boy, do you know what? I want to be proud because they want to bow because they want to show it off like, yeah, we're still slaves. We're still with them, like, yeah, like we're still on it. Listen, this book here is called The Irritated Genie. It's essays about the Haitian Revolution. You see what the Haitians did? They're being punished by it every single day. What the Haitians did in order to overthrow, it took one Toussaint Louverture to say, do you know what, we're going to fight back and thump them up. And that's what they did. It takes one person. They said, no, we're going to speak in our native Yoruba or Igbo language, and then we're going to form our own little thing. We're going to keep up our practices. The French were like, what is that spirituality that they're bringing from Nigeria? That's crazy. We're going to call that voodoo, which is a French word. So we're going to say that anything connected to voodoo is going to be, but all it is about nature. It's about the origins from Nigeria. So you've got Yemaya, you've got Oshun, you've got Legba, you've got, I forgot the name of it. There's about 11 of them key ones. There's more, but it's about 11 key ones. They brought that and said, you know, let's do our own thing, and that's how we're going to do. Defense is the best offense. I say that to people all the time. You being able to defend yourself is the best thing. Kids do it all the time. It's when we grow up that we decide to change. Kids do it. You know, like, oh, shut up, you've got a big head. Oh, whatever. I know you are, but what am I? You know, that whole sentence destroys every argument. I know you are, but what am I? You're an idiot. I know you are, but what am I? destroy every argument. It's until we grow up, and then we have the acculturation process where we start off as like, no, I don't want to do that, thank you, I'm good. And then it's like, is it that bad? And you're like, do you know what? Let me just try it, and then you adapt. We tend to do that at work. We'll say, do you know what? I'm going to throw on this suit because it pleases my boss. Not like I'm going to throw on this dashiki and walk in there and start with the feather and the brush thing, and then no, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So the acculturation process changes everything because it gets into our mindset. So that's what it's about. It's about rethinking our minds. Like, but this book I recommend is called The Negro in the Caribbean by Eric Williams. Okay. And this book breaks down like it's like a Black studies for the Caribbean, because a lot of our theorists come from the Caribbean that we don't even talk about. So those people who are from like Guyana who don't feel like they're important. What? People that are from Trinidad don't feel like they're important. What? Do you know how many dope people? Claudia Jones, who gave us Carnival, is from the Caribbean. Do you know what I mean? So we've got George Padmore, we've got Eric Williams, we've got Walter Rodney, we've got Marcus Garvey, like we've got Stuart Hall, we've got CLR James, like these, and they're from, they inspired, because this is most of this was pre-Black Panther movement. This is pre-civil rights. Wow. You see what I'm saying? So look how influential Marcus Garvey was. Marcus Garvey influenced Malcolm X's father, his dad. His dad was then able to pass it on, but because of his passing, and Malcolm X's dad got killed by the KKK for being a Pan-Africanist, it was still in the bloodline. His wife, Malcolm X's mum, is from where? He's from the Caribbean. Malcolm X has got Caribbean blood. He wanted to go Malcolm X by any means necessary. Where's his family from? They're from the Caribbean. Do you know how powerful the Caribbean is? You have to say, that they're from the islands or small islands. Do you know how powerful the Caribbean was? If we can bring Caribbean history to the forefront, do you know how people from like Barbados, it's a small island, my mom's from there, small island, yeah? But do you know, mate, do you know Barbados was the first island to get colonized? Well, they overthrew Barbados and then used Barbados as a breeding ground and tested experiments of how they're going to treat slaves, which then the American government decided to copy from Britain and then perpetuate that and do it in a different way. But there was revolutionaries on the soil of Barbados that were fighting the British, like you don't hear about. Like, so there's so like there is. All right, do you know? Cause I like to read in it. So there's this book here. I gathered. Yeah, this is book here. Yes, big up Bobby. Barbados is. We're not even going to get into Barbados, but there's a book here. Yeah, it's called Cultural Genocide in the Black and African Studies Curriculum by Dr. Ben. This book here is powerful. It probably set you back about, well, if it's in print, you're lucky. If it's like one rare one, it's probably like £80. It's a thin book. But this book here will teach you how they took spirituality and Africanness out of the curriculum. And how they did that was make the curriculum seem like if you follow this route, it will work for you. So for example, this is what they did with our parents here in Britain. They got rid of a lot of the factories where your skills pays the bills. So we've got a lot of engineers as uncles, or people that do plastering, carpentry, plumbing. But they said, if we change the educational system where you got to learn technology and learn how to read and write properly, then what we can do is get you a job. So there's like, oh, okay, but I've been doing this for time. Now I've got to go back to school. They changed the curriculum on us all the time. So you had, when education, but okay, so our parents that was going through the education system through the 60s and 70s, borderline 80s, they used to teach the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And then they changed the system. And it was respect, responsibility, and the other R was reasoning. Those are the 3 R's they brought in. So reading, writing, and arithmetic is the dealing with your left side of your brain. So they wanted to create men. They wanted women to stay at home. That's why with the NHS was like, let's get people over from the Caribbean to help. They've got numbers. There's a story and narrative that there wasn't enough women to work. There was. There's always more women than men. But they needed other people to work those jobs so that the white women could stay at home and live in the suburbs and breed and create this whole generation of white people that will move in. But then get black people to come in and be in the inner city so they can work close enough to get to the jobs in Central, but can't live there. So you can see where you're going to work, this plush area in Britain, but you won't be able to work there. So that's the idea of the road being paved with gold is because they thought they're going to work in the city. Nah. So what they decided to do is change the system, is put reading, respect, responsibility, and reasoning in there, and deal with the right side of the brain, which is the female side. And when you're bringing in the female side, you've got to deal with a different way of learning. But if we've been taught to be hard-faced and be leaders, and the men just go out and work and the women cook, when the men go in and they want to understand the other three R's of learning, it becomes difficult. It's like, I don't know this stuff. I don't know the physical side. So I got to know how to do proper writing, connect my I's and my T's, and it becomes a different way of education. So they tricked us and they keep doing it. So they took spirituality, education, God, everything out of the education system that favored black people and replaced it with something else. And then change the programs on TV. Because you got to think about it. When did the adverts start coming on when they wanted to help Africa? What decade? What year did they say, do you know what? We're going to start putting adverts where you can send in money. They could have done this long time ago. They could have done it in the 50s.
1998. I don't know. I'm joking. I don't know.
but imagine, like, when did they start doing that? These people are very strategic. Yeah. So if we can bring that back in and say, no, we are dope. If we can bring that in and say, do you know what? All right, Black history, let's go with inventors. Reason why you have a light bulb in your house is because it was a black man that did that. Reason why you got tapered trousers because a black man decided to say, do you know what? This is how we're going to do trousers. Okay, well, the first car wasn't created by a black man. What's his name? The sister's name, something Jackson, who created the caller ID for the phone. Obviously, the woman's going to create the caller ID because she wants to know who's calling her man. You get me? It was a black man that created, there's a black man that created the cellular phone, open heart. Was it last year before? Was it a Nigerian brother who was the first person to perform surgery on a baby whilst still in the womb? What? Are you... bruh, we are dope. Do you know how it's dope? Bro, listen, do you know how dope we are? Because I know we have to bring it back to faith and faith-based sometimes. There's this book that was given to me, and this is from 1988, right? And you know it's old, yeah, when you've got 081 as a dial number on the, on the back. It's not even 012, 081, you know. 081. There's this book that was given to me. It's called Some Musical Instruments of the Bible. And you see there, it's got black children there. When I was going through this, yeah, I was like, raw. It tells you how the hands were used in the Bible to make music. And it tells you Psalms there, it gives you the breakdown. It breaks it down like how hands and how black people use hands too. And then it's got symbols. It shows you there how important symbols were on the drum, but where it comes from, it gives you there.
Wow.
It gives you Psalms. I was like, what? The coronet. These are all instruments that we invented.
Wow.
I was going through it. Do you know what made me appreciate? Even a harp. It was an African, or let's say it was in Africa, but it was in Europe that created the harp. Europeans couldn't play it. So what they did, in case they would, turn it on the side and turn it into a piano. It's like the tambourine. Do you know what? Reading this, when I go into schools and I talk to children and it comes to that doing music lessons, I say, listen, whoever's on the triangle, you're a G. I didn't want to be on the triangle when I was a kid. Like, ting, and then just waiting for everybody else to play all the instruments, and then ting. You see, reading this book, I'm like, yeah. Triangle is, it just gives it that one. See that, back to the one again. That one ting. Yeah, it's all it takes to just separate a whole tune. That one ting, ting. Different rhythm you're playing now. Bringing back and understanding, for example, this book was given to me. It's about Queen Nzinga. Queen Nzinga is we talk about Queen Nan in the Maroons, definitely, as we should, but we need to recognize Queen Nzinga. And this was pressed in 1971. So you probably can get something similar, but you can't get this again. Queen Nzinga taught me about resilience.
Your exclusive books. We can't get none of these again, man. Sure.
You can, but because you can get them, but the print, it's about going to the old prints because it's just, yeah. But she taught me about resilience, how to just be patient, and through patience, you can get a lot done. And knowing when to strike, knowing when to speak, knowing when to be present. And I feel like we have to give full and utmost respect to our sisters, to our black women, because they know about resilience from different angles, just from, you know, through society where they're trying to fit in, that society that doesn't accept them. And because we live in a patriarchal society, as black men, we don't even understand that we actually benefit from a lot of the traps that put in place, because we can get a job quicker than some black women in certain fields. There's discrimination on a vertical level and on a horizontal level. There's certain jobs that women can go for, salons, nurses, blah, 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 blah. There's a vertical one where it's like a glass ceiling. They can get to that point, they can see it, but they can't get through. And we perpetuate that because we're just like comfortable, because we're still trying to find our feet. Yeah. So teaching, understanding about resilience and understanding about patience, it taught me to say, do you know what? Everything happens in time, but also don't miss a moment. Don't take away someone's experience to learn something new. You could easily stop someone on the street and say, how are you doing? And just even asking how you're doing can be so powerful, so important. And that's what it takes. It takes for young people, older people, whatever, to just come across and say, do you know what? All right, cool. I'm going to take a day out and just speak to people. And it's only when you go on the tube, you realize how conditioned we are, bro. You know, when you sit back on the tube and you got your headphones in, you don't want to talk to no one. You see, when you go to the Caribbean,
you have to.
You have to talk to people. You can't be what? And you take your time. Don't you take? What do they say to you? Why are you walking so fast? You take your time. You see, think about it. We're so eager to get the latest AirPods. Our young people are so eager to get the latest AirPods. But what's it doing? It's disconnecting you from the wider world. And we're not even deep in it.
They told us. They call everything I. They told us. They're not hiding it. It's in plain sight. It's in
exactly.
Plain sight. So Darrel, so here's the thing that like you've expanded my mind. My hair done by Naturally Locks Lexi, who's down in the comments, is beginning to pull at the roots now because you're expanding my brain, right? Put succinctly, how helpful is this idea of black and white? And is there a future where we can move away from that and more talk about ourselves as Africans once we get over that own internal divide that we have between Caribbean and African, and really we're all African, really. I don't know, is that just, I just feel internally, and I could be wrong, I just feel as though it's just, that in itself would be such a powerful move, or am I missing the point? Is it like the term, you know, the N-word, I don't want to offend anyone, so is it like the term N-word where we have taken that word and reappropriated it for ourselves? Is that the same way we can do it with black, or do you think there's a future wherein black isn't the way I choose to describe myself, but African is how we choose to describe ourselves? Because I don't know, do you see what I'm saying? Or is, because if we're one race, how do, like, okay, what race, the Chinese people, what race are they?
It's a very good question, and I feel like, so the concept of race was only the idea of race was pioneered by a guy named Carl Linnaeus. He's the father of taxonomy, so he's the one that put things into categories: amphibians, reptiles, and, you know, that sort of thing. He then decided to change Homo sapiens into categories. So you had Homo europaeus was Europeans, Homo Asiaticus, which was the Asians, but they were like they say the people from Mongolia. Then you have Homo Afro, which is African, but that was the lowest. And then it was, okay, well, these set of people are the closest to monkeys, therefore we're going to connect them two together, and then that will also perpetuate, you know, the idea that we should be able to treat them how we want to treat them, because they are not human. So if they put that into the books, scientists will believe it, social scientists will believe it, psychologists will believe it, and so on and so forth. And then, because these terminology came back to things like, it's a very good question, because remember, we're still using English. Going back to what I'm saying about languages, we're still using terminologies that were given to us. Biracial didn't come out until 1980. being mixed race didn't come out until 1979. So when you go for the Black Panther movement, people identified with being black. People that were mixed race, they said they was black. So there wasn't that much of a divide. Going back before that, it was black was taken, the BLACK was taken from Blake, which is BLAQUE, sorry, which was taken from the Germans. And that was associated with color like necro and stuff like that. But then before that was Moors. So the idea of black, how we have it today, it's just terminologies from a certain section of people. However, the social sciences that's connected to it was developed through psychologists and through, let's say, scientists that said, okay, well, these people behave a certain way, so we're going to label them as bad, as negative, whatnot. Then we're going to put it in films, then we're going to put it in media, then we're going to put it through books, then we're going to teach them to. So it becomes a negative thing because we're adopting the same language. For example, like, I've got this it's another one. I'll just keep pulling them out. I'm sorry, yeah. But this is it's an encyclopedia, but it's a reference for grammar. So this is it's a thick book, right? But it's for the Hausa language. So another tribe in Africa. There are certain words that we have. Let me put this down because it's quite heavy. It's quite heavy, right? Like, so imagine there are certain words and languages, certain words that we have in the English language that's not in the Hausa reference grammar. So terminologies and references like ill mental health.
Yes.
It's not in it.
Yeah.
Like black being negative and monstrous and like villainous and those kind of words that's in the English dictionary for what black is. It's not in here. Yeah. Matter of fact, black is only in here and many other languages that I'm learning at the moment, like Kiswahili. The term black is associated with melanin, but it's also associated with the full spectrum of the earth. I mean, full spectrum of the sun, light spectrum of the sun. So it's only when you adapt the English language that black becomes negative. So black in its color, no one is black, but black is political. Yes. That's all it is. White is political. Yes. So can we get rid of black and white? As long as we speak English, we won't be able to get rid of it because it's their way of separating who we are and who they are. We are one race. We are one race, and we've taught that for many. We go into you read old. There's a few old scripts, but you can read old scripts from the continent of Africa, from the West, from like Mali and Senegal, where they talk about European invaders, but they don't call them white people. They just call people from a different section, different tribe, different. It's only until Europeans had to separate themselves. So if you get rid of the borders, so 1885, you had the scramble for Africa where they carved up, so okay, well, we're going to have Sierra Leone over there. Then we're going to have Congo over there, Tanzania over there, Kenya there.
Yes.
If we take away the borders, you only had tribes.
Yes.
So you didn't have light-skinnedness, you didn't have white, you didn't have black, you didn't have brown skin, you didn't have red skin. Those are still, again, language is important. Language brings culture. Yes. So when you speak Spanish, you take Spanish culture. So you might say, I want to eat Spanish food. If you speak French, there's French culture. There's French food. When you speak English, English culture, English food, so on and so forth. So when we say we are black people, in its essence, it's negative. However, because of the history that we've used for it, it's a good indicator to show us who we are. But we shouldn't subdue to it or understand it. And understand in law means you obey it, to underneath stand something. So if you understand black, that becomes you adopt it, and your brain can't differentiate between fantasy and reality. Yes. So if your brain can't differentiate, right? So if you're reading about black, I don't have it here. If you're reading about, all right, so there's a book called 100 Years of Lynching. If you're reading this book, right, and it's talking about blackness being black, negative, and your brain's like, okay, well, you're saying you're black, but you've read here that blackness is bad. Okay, well, how about we fuse the two, and then, because again, the word is powerful, right? So if you fuse the two, I'm going to start believing it. And then we associate bad culture or bad behavior with blackness. Oh, you know how black people stay. Oh, you can't take black people nowhere. Oh, Marcia in the yard shop, she's gonna be having attitude, but it comes with it, innit? No,
Yeah.
bad language is not associated with us, but it's been told that this is it, and we start to believe it because we're reading their textbooks. So,
Yeah.
for example, when you was not when you sorry when all right, so our ancestors were on the plantation when they wanted to run away and be free. There was a psychological term given to the runaway slave. So it wasn't just a runaway slave. They said he suffered from drapetomania. So drapetomania means having the ability to say, "Oh, I don't like this. I'm panicking. Let me go." So it's not like you want to be free from slavery and you want to, live your life. It says no. He's got an ill mental health. They put
Wow.
that in the mental health book, and if they passed it
Wow.
around the United States. This is before
Wow.
the DSM-5, which DSM 1 to 5 came out. The psychological term for black person running away was called drapetomania, and then they scrapped it. And I think that was created by Samuel A. Cartwright. I think it was. Is Samuel Cartwright? But this was like during just pre minstrel show era. It was pre that. So when they got rid of that, it was like, okay, well, we have minstrel shows, clubs, different things. So calling ourselves black is negative. We can say that we are African because we can tie ourselves to a continent.
Yeah.
But again, tying it to what I was saying before, if you look at the census that you fill out for yourself or for your children, your census gives you the breakdown of what you are. And then we're going to pick. So it's like, I'll have that one then. And we choose that. So, but what they're doing, they've created
it over and over again with the conditioning of what that means.
This is what I'm saying. So imagine now, and this is how you get the Caribbean and African divide. Because when you look at the census, you've got Black British Caribbean, then you've got Black African, and then you've got Black other. Why is Black Caribbean above Black African? A comes before C. So why is it not Black African first and Black Caribbean? But what they've done is that, so Caribbean people, we tick the box. We don't even look what's after that. So we don't even pay attention that they deliberately put African second. So we could be like, yeah, I'm not African or whatnot. Let's skip past that. It's the same mentality you have in the census. The first option is white. W doesn't come before A for African or B for black or A for Asian. White's first. Then you've got white, Scottish, and then what comes after white on the census?
Oh my days!
Let's eat this.
Stop!
Let me see. Remember the census? You've got white first. W doesn't come first, So what's after W? For anyone that can pull up a census, what's after W for white? Mixed. So they've got white. That's the first box, which is box A. Box B is mixed, but you've got mixed Caribbean, mixed African, mixed other. So even in the mixed section, you have mixed race people that are being indoctrinated, not knowing that they are keeping up the same thing. But even in the mixed section, you've got mixed Caribbean, mixed African again. So you've got mixed Caribbean people who are saying, yeah, my dad's Jamaican, my mum's English, cool, whatever. They want to disassociate themselves from Africanness because they're telling them, don't listen, go first. So then when we're in school and we're saying you're African booty scratcher and whatnot, where is it coming from? It's coming from our parents. It's coming from our grandparents. Make sure you don't bring back none of them African youths home, or it's our parents. When we was going to school in the 80s and 90s, being African wasn't cool. Them names there, like what's your name, boo boo ooh, and making fun in that. But who gave us the jokes? It was white people that gave us the jokes. It was the Europeans. It was the scholars. It was those that put them jokes down and said, you know what, let's throw it into the community. We just sing things in nursery and primary school. When we saying that brown girl, ignorant, shalala, where did it come from? So just look at the census. So this is before your child could even speak. That you're ticking a box already saying, do you know what, boom. And then remember, this is how smart they are. So they've got Black Caribbean, Black African, and then Black other. What's Black other?
Don't even matter. You don't even.
And this is what they've done now. This is how they're strategic. They're slowly drip feeding us. Black other are those who consider themselves black, but don't feel like they fit in with the Caribbean section or feel like they fit in with the African section. Do you know who they are? East Africans. So the Somalians, the Eritreans, the Ethiopians, some of the Kenyans, sometimes they feel like they're not included in the conversation. Because we think, yeah, I want to go back to Africa. How many of us want to go to Djibouti?
Yeah.
No one ain't talking about Djibouti. We're talking about what the Western world has glorified. So when it comes to black history, you say, yeah, Ghana, Nigeria, but there's 54 countries. So why are we not talking about Congo? Why are we not talking about Swaziland? Why are we not talking about Guinea-Bissau? Why are we not talking about Ivory Coast? It's because Europe has decided, you know what, this is what we're going to put in the English books. So we don't even, a lot of us, even African people, don't even consider Somalians even African. They want the whole of Africa. So they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to tick other. The census comes out every 10 years, 81, 91, 2001, 2011. Next year, we're getting another census. I hope you save this conversation, yeah? Because next year, when the new census comes out, watch, you're going to go back to this video and say, told you so. They're going to break it down even more. So they're going to give a different other. They're going to give you a box where you can write something. So we're going to be so divided. That's why we can't come together. When you go to the United States, you've got African American. That's it. Yeah. So there's more unity. But when it's like, yeah, I'm African. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. You're from there. I'm from the Caribbean. Okay, cool. Boom, 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 boom. We wouldn't have people saying, oh, you're a Jamo or you're a this, or we wouldn't have it. So there's still a disconnect. Why? Because we're still reading their books. Remember, they are the ones. Remember, they wrote this. This is a sociology book, an A-level sociology book, right? This is what they said in sociology. I must say this, right? This is a conversation. It's about ethnic differences in achievement. I don't know if you can see that, right? Ethnic differences in achievement.
Yeah, we see it.
So I'm going to read this part, right? It says intellectual and linguistic skills. Remember, this is A-level, right? It says, I'm going to read this part here, right? Sorry, this part here, right? It says cultural deprivation theorists see the lack of intellectual and linguistic skills as a major cause for underachievement for many minority children. They argue that many children from low-income Black families lack intellectual stimulation and enriching experiences. This leaves them poorly equipped for school because they have not been able to develop reasoning and problem-solving skills. Just so you can see, it says Black families. I'm going to put my finger underneath it and bring it closer to the camera. Right, hold on. It might be a bit blurry. If I move back a bit.
No, we see it. Black families, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it says Black families there. Low-income Black families. You see it?
Yeah.
There's the evidence there. This is in a A-level sociology book. So imagine you're a white boy who's never seen a Black person in your life, or you only see them on TV. You know a couple in your neighborhood because this Black couple or Black family that live in your area, they come from a gentrified area and they got shipped out to Kent or Maidstone or wherever, right? And you've read this thinking, oh, Black people are not intelligent and crazy. Then they go on the news and they see stabbings and shootings and killings. Then they go on YouTube and say, you know what? The #1 music that drives British youth culture is drill music. Okay, cool. So what are they promoting in the drill music? Well, they're not promoting the love of Black women a lot of the time. They are promoting violence. They're promoting drugs. They're promoting guns. They're promoting knives. They're promoting they're actually dry snitching on records. Okay, so this must be true, but they don't sound intelligent. It sounds like they're mumble rapping. This is what that's what's going through their head. So they say, you know what, I like the beats, I like the music, but I don't associate with it. So I'll turn up, I'll go to their shows, but I'm going to go back to my cottage. I'm going to go back to my wealthy land and wealthy this and wealthy that, and that's about it. I'm going to love the culture, but I'm going to love it from a distance. I want to be Black, but I don't want to be an N-word. So I'm just going to keep myself over here and just keep stum. So Blackness, they perpetuated it. This was when Carl Linnaeus did that. He did that, what, 300 years ago? This is 2020, well, this is like 2019. Like, so this is still going on today. So Blackness is
that book, 2019.
Right, so the concept of Blackness is negative because it's been told to us as negative. But the power behind Blackness is deep. So calling ourselves African is important, but let's identify with one thing first. Are we all Black in here? All right, cool. Now let's get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? Okay, why are we going to get rid of it? Because this is what it's about. This is where it came from. So how about we give ourselves our own identity? Imagine, I was saying, you see with the census, do you know if like 10,000 Black children born in 2021, the parents said, you know what, we're not going to put Black, we're going to put Nubian. How about that? I'm going to put Nubian. Straight. Right? 2022, another 10,000. We're going to put Nubian. No, we're going to put Black, we're going to put Nubian. By the time you get to 2023 and you do another 10,000, that's 30,000 Black children born within the space of 3 years. They would have to, at some point, put Nubian on the list.
Have to.
They have to. But guess who it takes to make that change? Just one. It just takes one person to set the pace. So if we scrap Black and say, you know what? We're going to call ourselves Nubian under Templeway. We're the Templeway organization. What? We're Nubians. They would have to respect it. They would have to expect it.
Bro.
But it takes, but you have to, there's reach, but there's impact. If there's 30,000 black children born in 3 years, they would have to recognize it. Because what's this whole new wave? Oh my gosh. What's it? They have to recognize it. And if we say, no, we're not, no, don't put me down as that. Make sure you put that down. Thank you very much. That's what you have to. On my passport, yeah, no, change that. Yes, that's what it is. Thank you very much. And that's about it. It just takes one person to set the pace. But if we're African Americans saying I'm an African, how are you an African and American? You don't get Chinese Americans. You don't. It's still the Stockholm syndrome. You're still being licky. You still want to be attached to. Yeah, I'm American. I'm proud to be a part. Bro, no, run. Like, get out. Literally, get out. For being black British. Black is negative. Britain hasn't done anything nice to black people. So you're calling yourself black British is a double negative. Just get out. Change it. But it takes one person to set the pace. It's hard to change when, think about it. What are like the top 3 symptoms or recognition indicators for domestic violence in a relationship? Maybe it's, self-doubt. Maybe it's obviously physical harm and mental harm. And maybe it's like self-blaming. Oh, if I didn't do this, they wouldn't have hit me. So if we look at the relationship between black people and Britain, Luke, this is an abusive relationship.
No, 100%. 100%.
It's abusive. How are we going to get out? We have to say no. We have to be, ballsy and say, no, enough is enough. But what does it take? Maybe this is why we should sit down with survivors of domestic violence and say, what was your strength? Because let's talk of, like our black sisters who get hurt, and we need to defend them and protect them a lot more and a lot better than we have so far. Sit down with them and say, what was the strength that you had? For a black woman to walk away from someone that she loves, her family, from someone who's mentally taken power over her, the strength that she had to have, to get rid of the strength that she had to even love this person, that's incredible. God gave her that power. What is in that power? Because we need that to get rid of white people. Well, not to get rid of white people, but to get rid of like oppression and to get rid of, like, what is it? Sit down with them, get educated from the survivors, the people who really sat there and went through it, really had to fight skinheads. Do you know what I mean? The mods and all them. Like, I had to really fight them on the way home from school. Sit down and say, how do you do it? Because I don't have to fight any skinheads. I'm all right. I'm good. I don't have to. But how did you get through? Remember, you had women that used to fight as well. You had black mothers and aunties that used to fight back in the day on the way home from school. We don't have to do that now.
It's not even long ago. It's not even long ago.
Mate, if we're being real, it peaked in the 50s, it dipped in the 60s and carried on, but it was still going on in the 70s. Because when reggae came out, they was like, yeah, we can get on this, but we're going to create our own reggae. So again, this is what Britain doing. They like something and go, yeah, we're going to make our own version.
Yeah.
So I like it. See, I want to be back to what my point I said before. I want to be black, but I don't want to be the N-word. So same thing with what the Americans did with reggae music and dancehall music. They copied the same beat pattern of bam bam rhythm. Do you know what I mean? And then developed it, slowed it down, put some strings on it, and started singing on it, and then called it tropical house. What? What? So a lot of if you listen to Justin Bieber's song, the beat, there's a that simple beat. They took that and was like, all right, we're going to take that from Sly and Robbie. Thank you very much, Mr. Blackman. We're going to develop our own thing. They just created a reggae version of Turtle Bay. That's literally what they've done. And we've allowed them to do it. So as people, we've got to identify, so you know what? Okay, we're Nubian. Cool. This is Nubian music. You can't touch it. Okay, cool. And have our own. There's nothing wrong with having our own. And then you have a sense of pride because you have something to belong to. And then you don't have to worry about black and say, yeah, we're human, but these are just a different section of humans. We're just this. That's it. Lions, leopards, tigers, panthers, cheetahs, they understand they're cats, but they're different. It's like, yeah, you do your thing over there. I'm going to chill with my pride. You do your other little thing. Whatever. The tigers don't try and, you don't have a tiger saying, yo, hey, that lioness over there, you know. Hey, look at her. Yo, you see the way she climbed that tree? I bet you can't even get her done. I bet you can't get it. I bet you can't. Give her a piece of meat. That little zebra that you killed. tigers are nowhere near lions, but just imagine this, right? Just imagine this,
Yeah.
right? Like, just go and give her a little piece of that zebra booty. A little booty that you just bit. Go get some zebra. Go on. You don't see it happening. Just you do your thing. You do your thing. What did Muhammad Ali say? The birds go with the birds. The lions go with the lions. The zebras go with the zebras. The giraffes go with the... We understand. They just stick to themselves. We're the only people that want to confuse things. And then we understood, as African people, we understood the philosophy behind just respecting your elders, respecting your ancestors, respecting the land, giving thanks, giving praise,
Yeah.
and just recognizing different people. You're going to have differences, but you saw it out. It's only until we started to, speak another language, we started to adopt their culture. So blackness in its essence is very negative, but in its entirety is positive because there's something, there's that black pride, there's something to hold on to. Scientifically, blackness is the ultimate of melanin, which is 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, which then in its essence, the sun in its full spectrum light
is black.
Charges our melanin, which gives us power and sun and vitamin D in order for us to be better. So a lot of us right now are vitamin D deficient.
Yes.
Like over 60% of us are vitamin D deficient. So we're not even acting right. We're not even behaving right because your organs need melanin in order to do that. Right. So the sun charges your melanocytes in your skin, which then makes you feel better, makes you act better. But it's getting darker now, so we become miserable. So we're only dealing with moonlight. So moonlight, when you're addicted to moonlight, you're a lunatic because the moon is lunar. Monday in Spanish is what? Lunas. So you become a lunatic because we're dealing with darkness. We need the light. We need to get out there because seasonal justice disorder can bring in what? Anxiety, depression, and suicide. So the rate of black men that commit suicide is what? When black men commit suicide, at what time of year is it? When it gets dark. So it's not summertime. That's not the peak time. So what's happening within black culture and within black mentality that when it comes to winter time and autumn time, our mindset changes? What is it? It's because we're not getting the rays from the sun. So then we become BC, we become cave people. So this is why we got to take those regular trips to charge our melanin. You have melanin in your intestines. So if you're not charging the melanin in your intestine, when it's winter time and then you're eating meat and the meat's not getting the right charge, if you want to eat meat, cool. But if you're not getting the right, your intestines, there's an organism in your intestine that charges your intestines to work properly in order to filter the food out. But if you're not getting the right sunlight, then your organs are not working properly. That's why there's organ harvesting. A lot of black people go missing every year in the United States through gun crime. And parents are like, well, when I went to go and view the body in the morgue, the organ's already gone and the body's stuffed with tissue. It's because people are buying up black organs because black organs are worth a lot more. Melanin's worth more than gold. You can buy melanin, but it's not in its purity. Yes, it's worth more than gold. So if your organs are worth a lot of money because it holds melanin, what is it about melanin? So if we taught this in schools and said, you know what, you don't need to sit at the back. Sit at the front. Be proud because education came through you. You're a black girl. You like maths. Why are you acting like you don't like maths? Sit at the front because through you, we was able to calculate a 1 month of 28 days because we had to use your menstruation cycle in order to calculate a month.
Wow.
Matter of fact, you like angles because when you're braiding your hair, just like how your hair is, bro. When the black woman's doing your hair, she's doing angles. Look at that. She's doing a right angle there. She's doing pi factors 3. She's doing pi. She's doing right angle to get 3.14. So when you're thinking you're just doing braiding, when black girls are just braiding hair, why are we not teaching them? You know, you're doing maths. You're doing angles. Wow. That's an isosceles triangle there. That's a rectangle there. You're actually doing a pyramid. Right there, look, you're symmetrical. Black women are maths. I think maths is the black woman's gift to poetry of the world.
Wow.
Let me say that again. I think maths is a black woman's gift of poetry to the world.
Wow.
Because you can go anywhere in the world, right? Maths is the same. You go to Japan, 2 and 2 equals 4. You go Antarctica, 2 and 2 equals 4. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So maths is the universal language. Yeah. But the universe, meaning one verse, so one verse, one lyric is devoted to a black woman. So black women definitely gifted the world maths. Period. So, like,
No,
Yeah.
I'm laughing because my my stylist is saying, "Yep, enough calculations and I look care."
Trust. All right then. You know when you see when the black. Listen, have you seen when a sister goes into the shop, she's like, you should look at the inches. You know, like 12. Let me see. Let me see that. And she puts her fingers through it. She runs it. No. She knows. No. Do maths all the time. When we're dancing, listen. You see when. All right. You see when the old school reggae tune by Barris or Sanchez comes on, right? Black women, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's a certain drop. There's like beginning. The beat goes do 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 do, and then the beat drops, and then like or Barrington Levy or something, and the beat's dropping, yeah, and there's like a little intro part. But it's when the beat drops on the next part when they started singing, like literally, black women do this one thing, right? They click their fingers. Next time you're in an environment where black women dancing to reggae, whatnot, you just a little sway and clap. Watch the click. Every black woman does this click. Yeah? So a beat will play and they'll be like, see that? And they look away. They timed it. They timed it. I'm telling you. They timed it. You know what I mean? So even if it's like a bam bam rhythm, yeah? Like I was saying before. It's got a little bit. And then as soon as that and then what do black women do? When it's their tune and they're with their girls, they time it. They don't all do it symmetrically on purpose, but it happens. Black women, what do they do? When they click, when you see them close their eyes or they look back and they do that, you know they're going to form an angle. That's when they put their hands on their knee and they look back. And then they usually, it's the left hand that will go on their stomach. And it's like, they form an angle when they're dancing.
Wow.
That click. So maths is in everything that we do.
Wow.
When we're drumming, when ancestors are drumming and you're forming the griots. The griots is the ones who griots, the French people call griots G-R-I-O-T, which is giving right information all the time. But the French call them griots, which means storytellers. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But what it was is there was a Jedna from the west coast of Africa, and in the tribe of that Madame, this is so bad, Mamba something. There's a tribe in West Africa in the Mali region or Senegal region, and they said that there's a word for blood which means jolly, D-J-O-L-I, right? Which means blood, right? In a West African tribe. Please excuse me, I forgot the name, right? They said that the griot is just as important as blood. This is how deep Africans are. The person who holds the story is just as important as blood. Just think about it. You can't function without blood. You can't live without blood, right? So your legacy, your name can't live without your story. Imagine how deep our Africans are. It's called Jolly. French called it because they conquered most of the West, right, of Africa. But they called it griots. They was like, no. This is I forgot the name, but they said that the griot is the bloodline. That's the person who keeps the story, and that's usually the woman who sits around and tells the story to young people and pass it on. That's why it's hard to find written text for African tribes, because we were storytelling. Right, we're the griot. So think about it. Who was the first master of ceremonies? Black women.
Yeah.
You see, when we're in the dance, we're saying "Oli, oli, oli," and it's like "Oi." Who was the first people? The black women. Because when they're sitting down, everybody's paying attention to them, forming a Umoja circle, and they're the ones that are speaking, and they might say something, and they have to respond. Call and response. Yeah. When you see certain tribe celebrations going on, you got the dancers, especially when you got the oh gosh, they're from Congo. Oh man, the tribe will come when they the Dogon tribe, when they have their celebrations and they're doing the dancing, someone will speak and say something, and then the whole mass of them will say it back, and it's just giving grace, it's harmony, it's beautiful. But those are the first mastering ceremonies. They were the first persons to hold the mic and say, yeah, boom, hey, what? Let's love the land, and they all harmonize together. First person, call and response. These are tribes. This is not what we're doing in the raves. It's great, but the first master ceremonies were black women who were telling stories. I'm going to tell you a story. So when you got MC saying, yeah, boom, boom, yeah, inside the place, inside the dance, oh my gosh, I never been to France, inside the place, inside the dance, oh my gosh, I never been to France, yeah? When you got them doing that, and tell sorry, like back in the day, I used to roll with the team, all my days, I'm on the rap with the thing, over the head, inside the place with the thing, Tim was doing the mic, there was a black woman doing that on the drum, someone was playing the drums and it was like, boom, bam, boom. So the first drum people were, you know, essentially, ones that were doing it for tradition, but black women were the first master of ceremony. They were the first MCs. They knew how to do it. They knew what it was doing. And so it becomes a cultural thing. Everywhere, no matter where you go in the 54 countries, it's the same thing. Music, call and response, and the importance of telling the right story, because someone passes it down. You have to. So how can we bring that into to common, you know, education, and make these young people say, you know what, you make music because it's in your DNA and you can't escape it. But make it because have a sense of pride. Don't make it for money. Don't make it for gal. Don't make it because you want to stunt and go STK. Do you know what I mean? Or Hakkasan, just stunt on the gram and saying, yeah, I spent £400 on a steak that my grandma would never cook. How many of us are spending £400 on food that our grandparents cooked? None.
Wow.
We ain't doing it. How much is jerk chicken rice and peas? What, $8.50 for a large, yeah, or small? Small. All right. And man's got like 6 bills in his pocket. But you go Hakkasan, not even question the weight and say, well, like, you're like, yeah, and stunt and say, yeah, take pictures, posting. Is that what we're really teaching young people? To spend those big peas on nickel steak with some little idiot sauce on the side that can't even wet your throat. But then when it comes to our own culture, we're going to go past it. Or say, do you know what? I want to go Turtle Bay, but Miss Marcia's or Aussie's or Winston's. But we'll go there because why? The cocktails are nice. What? We're not cocktail people. We're not black people. We're not cocktail people. Let's stop being silly. The only reason why we have rum in our system is because after 1807 is when they abolished slave trading. 1833 is when they abolished slavery, right? Mm-hmm. Then they created a system of apprenticeships. So they said, you know what? Slavery's over, but I'm going to create a 6-year apprenticeship for you, meaning I want to see if you can work the land. It's like, we've been working the land for 400 years. Yeah, what do you mean you want to see? Yeah. So they created an apprenticeship where it's like, we'll give you somewhere to live, but you have to work the land. So a lot of them didn't have anywhere to live. So they had to do apprenticeships. They said, we ain't got no money to pay you. We're going to pay you in rum. That's the only reason why rum is still running through Jamaicans now. And Bajans, St. Lucians, Trinidadians, Bermudans, Barbuda. It's the only reason why. It's because a lot of our ancestors got paid via rum 200 years ago.
Wow.
Like, that's Pirates of the Caribbean. If you deep the details of Pirates of the Caribbean, they actually give you these little gems. That's the only reason why we're rum drinkers, is because it got given to us. So let's remember, a lot of our ancestors were slaves, yeah, in the Caribbean. At what time did they get a chance to be drunk? We're not even questioning it. They couldn't have. So how did we get drink then? Because they still class that the Caribbean is the third world section of the world, right? So how we grow, we distill rum and whatnot there. But how did we end up being rum drinkers? Because we didn't have money to buy rum. So how do you become rum drinkers? It was given as payment. We don't. Epigenetics tells you it runs out like a little one. Come a little rum and coke, and yeah, you got to have a little Ray and nephew, even though Ray and nephew's not owned by black people. Ray and nephew, very, cool. Where did it come from? And we say, we will stay away from dark rum. We don't want the brown rum. We want the white. Give me the white rum. When it's like men and will teach you that brown rum is much healthier, just like brown sugar is much healthier. We want to. Let's think about it as a sentence, yeah, Luke. No, don't give me the dark one. Give me the. We're done, bro. We're done. Don't give me the dark one. Give me the light one. Yeah. See, all the white one. Still. If we could get like white E&J, I think a lot of the dons will go for the white E&J. I feel them man in the Cubs love a Ciroc. They love Ciroc.
Yeah.
They don't. I like the white grape ones still. I want to go. No, don't give me the black currant. Give me the. We're done. We're done. But it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Like, so what I'm trying to do is empower young people. I'm reading this book as well. It's called I don't know if Queen Afua is like a legend. Queen Afua, this sister in America, bad gal, amazing woman, amazing queen. She wrote a book for women, which is Heal Thyself, but there's a man version, and this is about cleansing your mind and disconnecting, sorry, from things in society that are poisonous. So what you watch is a diet, what you eat is a diet, definitely. What you say is a diet. Like in certain generations, saying the F word is called a curse. So language is a curse of language. Do you know what I mean? So that's why when all right, so say like the word queen, right? If it tie it to what curse words, right? So queen, if I was saying Queen, what am I doing?
Spelling.
Right. So So what's the first 5 letters of spelling?
So you're casting a spell when you're with your words are each word is a spell. Ooh! Ooh!
So in the beginning, so in in the beginning was what? That's what I said.
Darrel!
Yeah. Like I said, in the beginning. Think about it. When you wake up tomorrow, it's gonna be what? It's not evening. What is it gonna be?
Morning. Yeah.
Right. So morning is when your morning is associated with death, right?
Yeah.
So when you're asleep, when you're asleep, for you to get out of sleep, you have to do what?
Wake up.
Right. So awake is what?
Wake is. What do you mean?
What's awake when it comes to funerals? What's awake?
Awake. Yeah, when someone dies. Yeah. So why is it awake? What are we speaking here? What are we doing? And this is the English language.
So my final words are: any given chance you get to say Wagwan, do it.
Wow.
Any chance you get to say Etisen, do it. Any chance you get to say Langadef, do it.
Wow.
Do it. Hold on to your language. Language creates everything. We did not write this language. They change. Remember, they change the dictionary every year. There was the English something society, which was gosh, I think are they from the 1700s? I think. There was something called the English something society, and they were responsible for language in the dictionary. So what they decided to do with desensitize words. So words like light has GH in it.
Yeah.
Why are both the letters silent?
Yeah.
Why is it even in there? So they decided to desensitize words because then they could control how we pronounce things. So for example, the power of words. So when you have a child or young people, right? Dada is usually the first word because babies understand the roof of their mouth and their tongue is easy. It's easy to do, but to bring their lips in and pull it in and do mum, that's a different level of consciousness. So if a baby says mama first before dada, that's powerful because they've been able to adapt and go and even that vibration, that's why Buddhists go because they understand that vibration goes to your pineal gland, which is they call your third eye, and that's the same tonal frequency that babies hear in the womb. So when they go they'll fall asleep. Oh, this sounds like back in the day when I was locked up for 9 months. You know, like that. So language is important. So language is important. If we can get back the language, if we can get back the art of developing our own language and actually respecting our own, hence back to this encyclopedia. I'm just looking at it. I'm like we as black people, we have a running tone of how we speak. We don't straightforward. And do you understand what I am saying to you? No, we deal with feelings.
Yeah.
You know when you're talking to all right, you're in a relationship, right? Or you're chatting to someone, right? And no, let's say a relationship because it happens more in relationships, right? You're in a relationship, right? And you may mess up or your partner may mess up, right? But the reason why they mess up is because they might say something to you, but all right, just say, you and your missus, yeah? Right? She goes, oh, Luke, do you think this outfit looks nice? And you're like, yeah, it's all right. She goes, no, I'm going to go change it. And you're like, I think it's all right. No, it's not what you said, it's how you said it, right? Vibration. So we understand that we deal with spirituality and vibration all the time. We disconnect it.
Disconnected from it, yeah.
Because why? We deal with the five senses.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
When there's plenty more.
There's one. Just back to the one. Because you've got sight, you got hearing, you got taste, you got touch, and what am I missing? I'm missing the fifth one. Smell. Sorry, yeah. Smell, right? But those are sensories. Consciousness is your biggest sense. Because I can affect your consciousness by putting something in your head. And you'll start to believe it. So I can easily tell you that outside is cold. You've never been, but you're going to prepare for the cold. Yeah, it is literally, isn't it? Can affect your consciousness. These are sensories. So your consciousness, you only got one sense, and that's your brain. So if I can affect that, your consciousness, that's about it. Carter G. Woodson said, who wrote Miseducation of a Negro, he was a guy that started Negro History Week on February the 7th, 1926, which then became Black History Month, right? He said, if you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. That's why you don't have to do most of the stuff. We just do it ourselves. We will call ourselves the N-word. We will say this. We will call our females bitchs. We will say, oh, you're moving savage. That's what... Do you know John Newton said that blacks are savages of the world and not destined for the next world? Meaning that black people, slaves, are scum of the earth and they're not deserving of going to heaven. That's what he said. Savages. So we're like, yeah, oh, you're moving savage? Oh my God, you're savage. Bruh, 300 years ago, a savage was a bad thing. Savage is never a good thing.
No, savage, yeah.
But then we got, Meg Thee Stallion and that. I'm a savage. And you got young girls, young black girls saying, I'm a savage. Doing these little TikTok annoying dances. Bruh. So they don't have to do anything. Yeah. When me and you might see someone who's of a complexion of like Anisha Keys or Sanaa Lathan, right? We will say, oh yeah, she's a fair-skinned girl. Yeah. So if he's fair-skinned and I'm opposite of that, I'm unfair-skinned. So what? They don't have to do anything. We just read it and go, okay, yes, boss. And then we just latch on to their problems and their issues. Yeah, the voting thing. Whatever. Yeah, this happened. Whatever. Yeah, Brexit. Whatever. Nothing favors us. Did you watch Pinky and the Brain as a child? Yeah. What are they?
One was like a mouse or a rat.
Yep. They're both are.
They're both.
Have you ever? Yeah, they're lab rats, right? Have you ever seen a rat that color?
No.
So why are the lab rats white with pink eyes? They're genetically modified because when they test products onto lab rats, they want to do it on white rats or white mice because how they respond to it is how white people are going to respond to it because it doesn't have melanin. They could use a brown rat or a brown mouse, but they do it on white ones like a white rabbit because of melanin. That's what I'm saying about organs. When they inject it into their organs, how they respond if they die, if they grow an ear or whatever, this is what's going to happen to white people. So when they say, oh yeah, we've got this new drug, it's hay fever, tested and whatnot, it's good for you. Or we've got this, or we've got hydrocortisone for your eczema, or da-da-da-da. They did not test it on one black person.
Wow.
So when we're rubbing it on ourselves and we're taking these things in, who is it for? Because it's not for black people.
Yeah.
So it says, oh, the symptoms of just taking this ibuprofen, you could be, you might feel sick, nauseous. It's not black people. Nope, it's them. So we're taking their medication. So when it comes to the vaccines, if you say, are you going to get a vaccine? Even if the vaccine was legit, even if it weren't tested on black people. So even though we are one human race, right? It weren't tested on black people originally. It was tested on white people. Like, okay, well, let's see how this version, but we need some guinea pigs. Let's go to Jamaica. And then, right. But essentially, they test it on animals who they're genetically modified to see how white people are going to respond to it. Why are they going to keep? Why are they going to create a cure?
I follow you. Yeah.
Why are they going to create a cure for you? They don't like you. They want to help you. What did Malcolm X say? If they didn't treat you right, why are they going to teach you right? Like, why? They didn't. That's not for you. How can they have something that's going to work for you but not work for them? How comes we get sickle cell but they don't? Like, it don't work. There's a book by I don't have it. There's a book called Medical Apartheid, which teaches you about how black people were treated through the medical history of, you know, United States, essentially, and what they had to do. You know, what's his name? James Merriam Sims, who was the father of gynecology, and he created the vaginal speculum, which he had to test on 3,000 African women without local anesthetic, cut them up, and then say, okay, cool, this is what we're going to use on white women with that. Then there's the syphilis. Remember, Tuskegee was only the other day, you know? Tuskegee was 100 years ago. 100 years ago. There's some people who are alive who was around when the Tuskegee experiment was happening, where they injected black people in black communities with syphilis, and then created a cure to see how long it's going to take for them to be cured. They injected black people with syphilis. All right, they were stupid for accepting it. But back then, conspiracy theories weren't really around to even identify. You trusted, it's called white cloak syndrome, isn't it? Anybody with white cloak and the clipboard, you're going to believe them. Yeah. So they injected black people with syphilis. What? And then we're going to see how it works and how long they live for and how this community, you know, reproduce and their babies. They don't like us. Like, we need to, once we get that out of our head, that's cool. Let's just do our own thing. But as people, it's hard because we're loving people. We can't change our nature. There's nothing we can do about it. So it's either we become loving here and get beaten up, or we go somewhere where we can love ourselves and feel a bit more safer. But again, a lot of us don't want to go to Africa because one, we don't know where to go because we're only now accepting going back to Africa. And two, Africa's seen as a bad thing. And then also, I'm on going back to Africa, but then what can we do for Africa? Because the only reason we're going to Africa is because we need it. But then that's still negative because what does Africa need from us? And if we was comfortable here, there was equal opportunity, there was love, we can get the same jobs, we wouldn't go
anywhere. We wouldn't be going anywhere.
Right. So are we true to ourselves? We're only getting caught out and being like, no. We're only changing because we got caught out. We're only sorry because we got caught out. They don't like when a racist person gets caught. Oh, you tweeted something from 10 years ago. Do you know? I'm sorry. You're only sorry because you got caught. You're not sorry because you. So we're only going back to Africa because we're forced to. But do we really want to go back to Africa? Probably not, because we like wearing trainers. How are we going to be grounded but we don't touch the earth? But you're grounded, bro. Because there's a lot of things. Last book and last thing I'll say, because my battery's about to die. Get this book. It's called New World A Coming: Black Religion and Racial Identity During the Great Migration. A lot of us don't even know the different religions that we were under. No. Because you had Christians fighting side by side with Muslims. You had Hebrews as well. In fact, we're talking about 200 years ago. We're talking about 100 years ago. We're talking about, there was different like, we don't even, the oldest Christian church is in Ethiopia. We don't understand that we had different things and we all came under one thing. Yeah. But what is the identity? What is it that this is it, man. This is it. We've got to deal with the young people, and a platform like this is so important. It's so important. But we've got a long way to. We're not ready. We are not ready. The young people, we've got to prepare them. Say, look, this is what we've done. This is where we messed up. We got comfortable. We was on it. We was fighting the power. We was doing everything. When we had the Brixton bombing, we was angry. But then we got comfortable. Then we started to, do other little bits and pieces. And then we started to grow up. Then we had to pay council tax. And it's easy to be revolutionary when you're broke. But when you got to pay tax, it's not happening. So this is what you're going to do. We're going to show you how to do publishing. We're going to show you how to own and control everything. We're going to get you a black gallery. There isn't a predominantly large black gallery. We don't even have one. But we've got how many black artists? Okay, cool. So we need a major black record label. We're going to show you how to do it. Don't listen. If you're an artist and they're saying that we'll give you 20 grand, that company wants to make money. So if they're going to give you 20 grand, they must mean that you're worth more than that.
100%.
So why are you saying, oh, I got 20 bags? And also, this is how they trap it. And Big Nasty was talking about this the other day. And I've been saying this for a while. How they trap is that they give money like that to those who are in need. But those that are in need, they don't know what to do with it. So someone that's starving, they're not going to say, no, I'm good. No, they're going to take whatever and do whatever. But they don't have no financial training.
Of course.
So we need financial literacy for our young people. Yes. We need to teach them about health, mental health, spiritual health, physical health. We've got to teach them about the importance of identity and understanding where you come from. And then on top of that, lastly, what we need to do is that we need to look into how we can create a safe space in order for someone to retreat. Because when, for example, if you said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and go and try to fight Babylon, you're out there on your own. And if you try to turn up, where's the help? You man are not going to back it. No. We're like, yeah, see, I got work in the morning. You get me? Like, I got to go to Dubai next week, so I need to make that money quick. That's what we're thinking. So we got to create a safe space. So if you go out there and you're part of a label and you're like a Wiley, you should be able to do that and say, you know, it's cool. Because if I get fired or whatever, we've got a community that's going to pay my rent for the year until I get back on my feet.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're not taking risks because there's no blanket, there's no safe haven, there's no family to come back to.
Yeah.
We say that, yeah, my brother and sister, we don't even act like family. We should be turning up to these meetings and saying, I'm outside, you know, I got you. I'm cool. I know I'm just a lawyer. I got your number from someone that said, you know, I'm a black lawyer. Don't worry, I got you. I'm outside. We'll talk afterwards. Handle your business. And then say, yeah, what's good. Yeah, my name's da-da-da-da-da. I got you. Anytime you need something, cool. But where's the protection? We should be protecting our sisters, our black women, when they go on the TV, for example, and they have these little race debates and they get all these racists making comments. We should be turning up to these buildings. You're going to ITV building? I'm coming. And we outside. The moment we hear someone be racist, we're coming in there and saying, who said that? We should be able to do it. We should become a family. But there's no protection. That's why they're scared. So it's better to just sit back and be quiet and just go on the bumpy road to wherever it's taking us and be comfortable. So, bro, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for giving me this time. Like,
no, Darrel, man. Thank you. And thank you for the work you're doing, and just thank you for being on this mission. And you know, I think it's so important that we spoke a bit about griots, about, you know, the story keepers and the storytellers, and this is what you are. This is exactly what you are. What we've just been part of for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, is we are hearing from our own modern day griot, right? Our own story keeper, telling us things that many of us have never heard. Some of us have heard some of it before, but many of us have heard, you know, none of it before, especially in the way in which you're teaching us. So, bro, please never stop telling us our story. Never stop telling the story, because we need the retelling of narratives is just the most powerful tool that is used against us, because we're told something different. And you and people like you, we are just so grateful for. And I just want to, you know, just wish you all the best, blessings for you, your family, your ministry, your mission, everything that you're on. I just pray that it will exceed your wildest expectations, and you will just continue to transform lives. Thank you so much, brother. Well, you know, we're going to be back here. You know, people listening, thank you all for tuning in. Is there a part 2? There will be much more of this, guys. Like, literally over this month.
As long as I've got a voice, I'm going to forever talk. So yeah, just give me the mic, innit?
Guys, please. Guys, make sure you check out Darrel.Blake as well. Follow him, see what he's up to as well, and just be enlightened. And yeah, just thank you so much. And join us here, you know, all of people who have come across from Darrel's following. Thank you so much for tuning in to Templeway today. We're just trying to be a community that loves people, and a community that is open for people to tell their stories. And this is what we're going to do over the month of October. So every weekday at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a conversation with someone else from our community who I think really has something powerful to say to us. So please tune in. We'll be back on Monday at 8 p.m. Tune into the next person. But for now, thank you so much, Darrel.
That's it, man. Stay black.
Stay black. And, brother, man, let's connect again, man. Anything you can do to help what you're up to, you know, we're down for that as well.
Appreciate it, man. Love you, bro. Thank you.
Bless them, bruv. Love you too, man. Speak soon.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll see you on the flip side.